either behind or in front of the camera have always been a huge part of movie making. I just found out from 100 years ago, from day one, right? And it's true that in between the 70s and the 90s, they didn't get the appreciation they deserve. But I do feel that there's an empowerment movement going on now in Hollywood, and there's more and more women directing big budget movies. They're obviously bringing in the money.
Yeah.
That's why they are given the opportunity. And quality wise, I don't think there's anything that you could say that they're not as hands-on as a man could ever be.
No.
So what do you feel do you feel like there should be a female director, male director, awards at the Oscars or not?
I don't know. I'm sort of of two minds of that kind of thing. Like I just would love it to not be an issue. Like for it
exactly. Yeah.
for it to actually have like equity, and it's no longer like a thing that you have to like. None of us go around going, oh, a male director, right? Like it's directors and female directors. Like
yes.
I want us to just all be directors.
Yeah. It's not who comes up with all this stuff?
Who comes up with all this stuff?
Male director, female director.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. One thing that I sort of see that's changed as well. Not just that women are making films. Well, women are making more films again because, as we know, they made a lot of them back in the day. But that they are allowed to like be women while they're making films, because I feel like someone like Catherine Bigelow, who has made these very like what we think of as like male-centric films. I mean, I would love to see a fly on the wall as to like how she had to like behave within herself when she was directing these films. Like I think that that now people are more accepting of like femininity and leadership. Like we don't have to. It's always ridiculous to me that
pants on.
Right, like it's ridiculous to me that films have had this sort of, I mean, we have a hierarchy in filmmaking, but they have this almost like militaristic type of like of a way of making things, and this idea that you have to be able to survive all the elements and things to like get the film in the can, and a lot of people that I know in the film industry have had some sort of like military backgrounds, like including myself. I was a cadet when I was at high school, which no one would believe to look at me. But like now, I think now, there seems to be more of an acceptance of like this like feminine soft quality where we don't have to. Nobody has to be like stern and yell or like to have these like very stringent type of like masculine kind of like qualities when they're leading a film. It's I mean it's always been a collaborative process, but like we can collaborate and we can investigate things in like a not necessarily soft, but like a more feminine quality. Like we as women directors do not have to go out and pretend like we're a man. And there's this like idea of the director being like the father, like it's like a paternal quality to the role, and I like that's kind of been that there isn't really that feeling anymore. When I was at film school, there were a couple of instances where people inferred that I dressed too well to be to have any talent at filmmaking, and it was it's kind of wild to me because like I feel like no one would ever tell a man that they dress too well to be a good director. Like you see all these like photos out there of David O. Russell in like suits and sneakers, and everyone's like, oh my god, look at his style, like while he directs or whatever. So I feel like that was like that was like a sexist comment that I would
most
have
likely
got.
was.
But a wild one, because like I couldn't be good at an aesthetic medium by being concerned with aesthetics, you know. But I feel like that isn't a thing anymore. There is I can't remember who the director was, but it was another like actress turned director, where the actresses in the film appreciated that she turned up to direct like in a skirt or a dress or whatever, and it wasn't like we have to wear this like masculine type uniform to go out and lead our army of troops.
So you being a director,
yeah,
obviously a female director, do you feel at the moment that you're still disadvantaged in certain areas, or the opposite, that you're gaining momentum?
The thing about it is that if I am disadvantaged, nobody is going to outrightly tell me so. There's never been any situation that I've been in where I've been told you didn't get this, or like this isn't available to you because you're a woman. No one would ever say that to you. So if you have been passed over for that reason, I'm never gonna know, right?
It's a very subjective.
yeah. But I mean the statistics at the moment are not great. Like Directors UK had done a push to get people to in the industry to hire more female directors. I think particularly in television, because we don't have a big film industry in the UK. To hire more female directors, and it was starting on an upward trend pre-pandemic, and then after the pandemic it went down again. The numbers went down, and I think that's because people reverted to what they were comfortable with. So if it was television, it may be that they think that new people are too risky, and the new people would have likely been the women that they were trying to like get into the industry, and they were just sort of like, all of this is difficult and we don't know what's going to happen and it's risky, so we're just going to hire the people that we hired before, and those people would be, that's the same point, they would have been men.
So we have to wait until everybody dies, right?
Well, I mean, hopefully we don't have to wait until everybody dies. I mean, it's I don't know the answer to it. I just don't know. I think like maybe it's not necessarily to do with the gender or the sex of the director. It could be the type of films that people are interested in. Maybe people, the investors or studios or whatever, think are risky. Like they don't. It's a very risk averse industry. We're putting a lot of money into things, and it's like, I mean, the majority of the big films that we see come out, right, are the comic book films, and it's because they know that they're going to make the money back. So, yeah, it's I mean, I don't know how to whatever the issue is, I don't know how to fix it. I think like we should all get opportunities, but I hope that more women get to tell stories. Like, because it's not just men watch, like, rom-coms are considered to be like a female genre. Men watch rom-coms all the time.
Rom-coms.
I mean, and even if you're a guy who doesn't like them, you need something to take your date out to, right?
Historically, that's how men got it. But then again, a good rom-com, right, covers both angles.
It covers
right?
both, yeah, because there's a co-lead who's a guy, so you've got that perspective going as well. I think it's like so much of trying to get a film made is about who is your audience, like what it's marketing, it's data. It's not even about like the director,
the project itself.
The project itself.
Who can you
is
sell
like,
it to?
Yeah, who can we sell this to? And I just maybe the films that female filmmakers are coming up with, or the stories that the marketing people don't think they can sell them. I don't know. I have no expertise on on this sort of thing.
Well, let's look at, I'm gonna pick your brain in how you work, because I've seen a couple of the shorts you directed.
Yes.
The latest one is Voices, right? So there's this. I see it as a sci-fi. At the end of the day, people can watch it and see that's something different.
Yeah.
I watched it as a sci-fi, a clever one, a very clever sci-fi, very well directed. The shots were really well framed. The story flows. It's about 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
But there's so much. The big issue and the big challenge with shorts is, how do I put in a lot of stuff in 10 minutes?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Or 15 minutes or under. And you did manage to tell a story, right? It starts with a couple hearing someone fighting on the other side of a wall, right? And then it all goes from there. So will you stay true in a way to the kinds of movies you want to direct, or will you consider more, what's my audience? Because when you're transitioning to features, that's when it's a different kind of ball game. You have to think about, will this movie sell? Because in my experience with shorts don't really make money. You're not doing shorts for the money.
Yeah, you're not getting money back from shorts.
Yes, but when you're making features, now you have either investors or studios behind it. So they love art, but it better sell.
Yeah.
It better make the money back. So how do you see yourself transitioning and staying true to your core as a director?
It's so tough. I guess the golden objective, right, is to make something that's artistic that also is commercial. But it's so tough to actually even predict what that would be. I mean, everyone always says to make something that you love, because it's with a short, it takes a long time. It can take 6 months to a year to get it done. With a feature, you're talking about multiple years, and do you really want to chain yourself to something that you don't enjoy for that length of time? Because whilst I love what I do, it can also be extremely stressful, and you don't want to really. I mean, there's going to be situations where you do something that you don't believe in as much, for the money or the opportunity or the connections or whatever. But I mean, the advice that you always get is to do something that you love, so that, I mean, even you, because it is also an artistic medium, you as an artist are going to bring more to something that you love than something that you're apathetic about, or just I need to get this done and move on to the next thing. I don't know. I haven't been presented with enough opportunities, I guess, to be able to know if I would
which way
sell out or or what way I would go. I do know that it hasn't been written yet. I know the concept. I've seen a treatment for it, but the feature film that I am going to be doing next, what would be my first feature film, I love the idea for that. So yay, because with the first one it's super tough as well, right? So and you have to come out of the gate with something that tells the world something about you as a filmmaker. So I'm super happy about that one. I co-write features with a guy in America, and every concept that we've come up with, we have a lot of love for, obviously, because it's it's worlds that we're creating and the characters and everything, and I mean, there's at least one in there that I think has commercial, strong commercial potential, but is also just a story that is fun. That I mean, I've just read it for fun myself several times, because I like it. I can see that as a film, and it's just a story that I want to watch, Yeah,
and I can see, because just now when you mentioned it, your eyes lit up.
Yeah.
It's clear that there's something there that is really appealing to you as a director. And what I found about your shorts is that they're very personal. The first one I watched,
Testing Greta.
Testing Greta,
Yeah.
yes, and the chemistry between Billy and the other actress, Charisse, was amazing. Like it's two women sitting in a doctor's, it was the surgery.
Yeah, it was like a nurse's office.
And not discussing something.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah. This is like very subtextual.
Very subtextual. It's like wow. And then the reveal, which I'm not gonna talk about now. It was like, wow, okay. It was a very en vogue subject.
Yes.
Domestic abuse.
Yeah.
But the way you went around not discussing it was really interesting. Was because it didn't feel preachy. It didn't feel rubbing someone's eyes with it. It just felt natural.
Yeah.
And it felt, I could feel the uncomfortableness in the character who could not talk about it. And I'm like, why doesn't she talk about it? And then at the end you find out just how gray things are in those situations. That's not easy.
Well, with both of those films, I was very lucky to work with talented people that had written great scripts. So Billy had written the script for Testing Greta, and Irma had written the script for Voices. Both of them are films about domestic violence, actually, and it's and the two films I made in the interim are also about domestic violence, and it's not even particularly a theme that I've gone, this is the theme I make films about. It's just that a lot of these projects have found me, and I enjoy scripts that can take something dark like domestic violence or like relationship issues that, if it were just a straight drama, it would really like thump you over the head with it, and I as an audience member, if I feel like something is telling me how to feel, I get bored and I get apathetic, and I don't have the empathy for the character that I should have. But with both of those films, there was like a dark humor element to both of them, and it's like
I'm smiling because I remember
from Testing Greta the last couple of frames, and that's why I'm like, okay.
And it's that old adage that they always say about scripts, like you have to make them laugh to make them cry. And I really enjoy projects or film stories where things get flipped on their head and you go from,
which is
as an audience,
Voices.
As an audience you're like, oh, I thought I was in one thing, but I'm actually in this other thing. It's kind of difficult to take people on a journey within like that amount of time, but it's always fulfilling to be in the audience experiencing it happen. And then Voices, with Voices, Omar and I at the very beginning thought we were making a dark comedy. Like from the script we thought we were making a dark comedy. Then I shot it like a thriller.
Sci-fi thriller.
And so it's got this like Black Mirror kind of quality to it, like a soft sci-fi type thing. The festival journey for that film has been interesting because we put it out there. It's a cross genre film. It's won Best Drama. It's been nominated for Best Actor in a Comedy. It's also been entered into
for comedy.
For a comedy.
It's all because when I think about the movie, it has comic elements, but I would no way
you wouldn't call it a comedy.
No.
And then it got into a lot of thriller and horror specific festivals, which was a specific strategy that we did after we saw that it would at kind of cross genre festivals, just straight festivals, it would get put in the thriller category. So we then adapted our festival strategy.
There was the feedback from the festival circuit.
There was the feedback from the festival strategy, the festival circuit. But people were confused by this film. They didn't know really what it was. But I like that. I like being able to play with like different elements of filmmaking and using those as a way to tell a story, almost like allegorically.
It's great, I think, for shorts, right? But I think that in the feature market, that's when things get a bit more complicated, because
little
they
more difficult.
need to put you in a box.
Yeah.
How do you market this movie, right? How do I market it for the audience?
Right.
Even on streaming platforms, where do I include
what
it in?
category does it go in?
Yeah.
I think they're starting to be like pockets of acceptance of cross genre. Like, for instance, Get Out is both a horror and a comedy, and that film was a big a big reference film for me when I was planning how to shoot voices.
Mm-hmm.
And then something like have you seen the TV series You?
No, my wife has, but I haven't.
So You is like I mean, they put it under like crime thriller, but it is, the character is a stalker. In his head, the world is a rom-com, basically. But the whole thing is, because what they're doing with that TV show is taking that question of can we make like the traditional rom-com these days, because you've got those elements of like the man being so persistent that it's in real life that would be terrifying. Like if there wasn't like interest back, that would be terrifying. Like he needs to stop doing that.
Yeah. It's against the law. Yeah,
it's against the law, yeah. But obviously in a film we have to have stakes, and we have to have like escalating action, and we have to have like failures and successes and things that will carry us from like the first act to the second act, and then through the all is lost and into the third act. So You kind of like flips that idea on its head and has this guy who is a stalker, but like the whole narrative in his head is that the woman that he's stalking is like his soulmate, basically. And it has like this gorgeous like cinematography with like lots of like golden colors and like sunshine like beaming in through windows, and they use these like very characterful anamorphic lenses to like to create this sort of like dreaminess but also weirdness. But then there will be elements where it's like straight thriller, and you're like, oh my god, like people are getting murdered, like bad stuff is happening. And the Twitter thread for the You writers room is always interesting, because they're constantly having to like retweet like people on the internet and remind them that Joe Goldberg is not a character you're supposed to fall in love with. Like he's a criminal.
It's never just black and white, and that's what your movies are not black and white.
No,
because it's not just one thing.
Yeah.
It's not just one character that's the good character or the flawed character.
Right. And then, yeah, I guess like once you move into features, it's like how do you then as an artist like box yourself into like a marketable kind of like package where you go, this is the thing I make.
That will be your challenge come next
That
year.
will be my challenge. Yeah, I mean, I guess the ideal is that we all get to be like Spielberg at some point. Do whatever the hell we want, but
free paycheck, right?
Yeah.
Carte blanche.
Yeah,
right?
as long as you've got a Christmas movie in there somewhere.
Well, I mean, as long as you hire Margot Robbie, right?
Yeah.
Probably you can, right? Or Tom Cruise.
Or get hired by Margot Robbie.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, would you like to tell our audience where they can find your shorts?
Sure, yeah. So I have a website, abbielucas.com. It's ABBIE, because my parents decided to be difficult. And so I was just trying to think. There's not a lot on there at the moment, but Voices just got released on the Omeletto channel on YouTube. So Voices short film is searchable. I will also put that up on my website. And then I'm at Abbie Lucas on Instagram and Twitter.
Good. Well,
Okay.
I look forward to watching your feature, hopefully
Thank
in
you.
about 2 years' time, and maybe have another chat then.
Fantastic.
It
Thank
was
you
a
so
pleasure
much.
having you here.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.